That was it. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and get started. Today, we're going to talk about licensing fundamentals. Shaq wanted me to go through some of this. It's crazy because I was looking through trainings and I was like, wow, I don't think I've talked about licensing in a long time. I think it was like 2019, right before COVID. So this is going to be good. Definitely licensing is a very, very important part of your business. And you want to make sure you understand this because that's how people are going to make money and how you're going to continue to duplicate yourself. So I'm going to get started. And then once I wrap up, then the awesome Gabe is going to go into how to read policies. So number one, you got to get licensed ASAP. Number two, you got to master your craft and be competent as far as reading policies. I know you guys heard from Gabby this morning. I mean, she got on a training, she learned, she was competent, and that created a cash flow for her and a promotion. So just utilize this stuff that we're going through. Take a lot of good notes. So licensing, guys, is going to equal cash. It leads to everything in the business. So these are some stats. I don't remember if it was Shaq that said this or Omar, one of the two. But he said for every 2 licenses that you have, that's going to be about 1,000 in premium that comes into your base shop. So here, if you have 60 licenses, then you should be doing about a 30K base shop. If you have a 30K base shop, then you'll make it, as an RVP, you'll be making 250,000 a year in cash. So that's huge. You gotta, number one, set the expectation that everyone that's coming into your business, the reason that they're coming into the business minimum is to get licensed. They gotta get licensed, and then focus on creating people that are productive. So you can be an RVP, make $250,000 a year, right? Think about it. When most people have jobs, it takes a long time for them to get to that point of making that type of money. And as an RVP, to be making 250, having a 30K base, if all of that's coming from overrides, then it's passive a majority of time. So that's huge. Licensed agents kind of start the equation of duplication. So when we had an event a little while ago before COVID with Sam Shepard, and he talked about the 3 C's of duplication. So he said, you got to get people coded. So back in the day, I guess they still call it coded, but you get coded, which means you get licensed. When you have your solution number, it's just kind of that number there. But once you get licensed, that counts as a code. So with that, now you're licensed. And once they're licensed, then you got to get them to become competent. So they got to master their craft. They got to practice the presentation. I say this every time I do a training now. If you have not recorded your trainings for your teammates, you need to get, as far as like your presentation, you need to get that recorded for them. Whatever you say and whatever you do as a leader on your team, usually if you're regional and above or you're vice president, you want to have that so your entire system is duplicated throughout your team and people can follow that. So they got to be competent. And how do you test if they're competent? Obviously have them practice out in the field with you. So when I go out in the field, I'm obviously doing the appointments on the front end, but then eventually our trainees will start doing the presentation and I'm just sitting back, listening and watching and taking notes and critiquing them, and then making sure they're getting to the point of where they can actually go through the entire thing and close up the presentation and get a sale. So that's huge, because then that's when they can become a field trainer. And then Sam Shepard says you cut them off. So once they're competent and they know how to close a sale, and on the recruiting side, they know how to do a follow-up, they know how to submit an IBA, hey, there's not really too much they need to know after that. So cut them off. You got to start creating them to be independent and individuals, not constantly relying on you, and then just start building someone new. And you just keep working through that process of duplication. So new licensed agents will find hidden client prospects. So I think that this is crazy. It happens every single time. I'm pretty sure when we get a new licensed recruit, it's like you hire the recruit, you get them started, you do their fast start meeting, you get their list, you go on appointments. Some people may say, I don't have a lot, or I do, or whatever the case may be. And then they pass their exam and all of a sudden they have like 5 to 10 people that are like, yeah, I want to meet with you and I want life insurance. It's like, where did those people come from? right? So they kind of just like come out of the woodwork. So, and when you get new licensed agents, they want to make money. And so clients just kind of appear. So with that's exciting as well. And then duplication creates overrides. So as far as that duplication, like I said, I definitely came into this business for overrides and passive income. I didn't come into the business to be a salesperson for the rest of my life. And you got to duplicate, because when you get those override checks, I mean, that's like the best thing in the world, right? You can be doing an appointment, you get that email, you're like, woo, just made some money, right? And so that's what you got to be excited about, but then you have to get your team to also be excited about that as well. And then overrides leads to freedom. I mean, you think about people like Shaq, Samir, Bruce. I mean, they can travel whenever they want, really, and do whatever they want. And they know that because there's other leaders on the team like myself, Gabe, Tanya, Shay, T, Jen, Josh, all these people that are going to be performing, Dante, right, that are performing on a regular basis because they want to get to that point. The overrides just continue to come in. And with the business, you don't have to, just because you stop, it doesn't mean that your business is going to stop, because everybody has individual goals, and it's just perpetual. It continues to work for you. So licensing starts that entire process and leads to everything. So it has to be a huge focus within your team. So first, technical side of things, guys, you want to make sure you're registering people for class. Right after Primerica Smart, guys, just follow the play. Right after the IBA is submitted, it literally has a huge green button that says register for class. Don't skip it. Don't just be like, yes, got them started, and then end the meeting. Schedule the class, right? If there's a class option available, you want to schedule it. It'll show you all of the options there. But you have to kind of know as well the differences. So since everything now is on Zoom, I think some states might be doing things in person, but I haven't really utilized that since COVID. But there's different types of classes that are offered. So there's a pre-licensing class, which is a certified pre-licensing class that'll count towards pre-licensing, right? If it doesn't say pre-licensing, then it doesn't count towards their credit that they need for different things, as far as like their bonus, or some states require pre-licensing before they pass their exam. So if it says pre-licensing, then it would count. If there's another option that sometimes is available, it's called online study plan. And that is not going to count towards pre-licensing, but it's very beneficial because now they're meeting online with the professor or instructor. And what they do is just go through chapter by chapter by chapter with the class. And so they'll go through all of the necessary things that you need to know about that chapter. And then they give the trainees a little bit of time to take the practice quizzes and get it done, ask questions, and then they move on to the next chapter. So literally in 2 days, it'll walk the trainee through, the recruit through all of their study materials. So even if, for example, the online study plan doesn't count specifically just for them completing the class for credit, if they finish the chapters and then they take their simulator at the end of the course, then now their pre-licensing is complete as well. So they still work great. And then there's something else called a Zoom review class. So the Zoom review class is basically, it's a couple hours. So the pre-licensing class and the online study plan is usually 2 days, and it's usually 8 hours each day. So it's about 16 hours for the most part. Some states it's a little bit shorter, but generally it's going to be 16 hours on a Saturday or Sunday. Sometimes they have like a Tuesday, Thursday, or Monday, Tuesday, but it's going to vary state by state. So you got to be on top of that. The Zoom review class, though, is just a review, and not all state, I don't think all states have this, but some states will have like a little review on like a Tuesday evening or a Wednesday evening, and it'll be from like 7 to 9. And they'll just review a couple things with students. The instructors sometimes from the classes will say, hey, I'm going to have Zoom review classes this week at these times, and then you can have your trainee plug into that. So you got to know the differences between those. You also can let your recruits know that they can repeat class as many times as they want. They don't have to they're not only limited to doing it one time. And make sure they have their Primerica app. With the Primerica app, it's going to give them a lot of resources as far as like tracking where they're at for their pre-licensing days. how many days they've been in, because if we want them to get that bonus within 30 days, right, they got to see that. And then it's also going to have like steps. I've had some recruits, they register themselves for class, which is amazing, right? But it's because they plugged into the app and it had different steps. It says steps to licensing, and it's on there on the app, and it says, hey, register. Hey, you need to fill out this paperwork. It has it all there for them. And so somebody that's super independent, they might just get things set up on their own. So that's there. Then Telegram. Telegram is huge, guys. I use Telegram for absolutely everything. And when a new recruit gets started, we get them registered for class, but then I'm going to also send them the instructions to set up their online study materials on You Can Pass. And so it's literally a list of like 32 steps, I believe, but everything A to Z. So I just send that to them. I used to email, but email is super slow now. So I just send it to them on Telegram. It's a lot quicker. And now they have all of the steps. And you definitely want to make sure that they're completing pre-licensing within 30 days to get their extra $100. They've been offering that for these past couple months. And then if they don't do that and they miss the $100, they have to finish their pre-licensing and to get that credit done within 60 days, or else any bonus that they have will cut in half. So in our fast start meetings, we talk about that. We emphasize it, and we just say, hey, if you want to get your minimum $450, you got to finish this pre-licensing in 30 days and get it done. So again, setting that expectation. So before class, during class, and after class. And if you guys have questions, you can post them in the chat, and then I can answer them before Gabe starts his training. But before class, when they do have the Zoom class, you got to make sure that they receive the email from their instructor or from Primerica with the Zoom details. So that's critical. Sometimes the recruit does not get the email, or maybe for me, it's happened, they don't get back to me until the day right before or the night before, and they don't have the email. We don't have access to phone numbers to be able to reach the instructor to get that information for them. So if you don't check in with them 1 to 2 days prior to their class to make sure they have the Zoom details, they're going to miss class. And if they took days off from work to go into class, you got to be on that and just make sure that they have that information. Prep them that it's going to be a lot of information for the 2 days, but the benefit is they're going to be able to take their exam the fastest. And then you give examples. So I always tell, like, for example, Jen on our team, she literally got started one Saturday, the next Saturday was in class, and then by that Friday, she had passed her exam. So it could be very quick if they go to this class, and it's going to knock it out. If you leave people to do things on their own, which they can study online on You Can Pass by themselves, I did that when I passed my exam, but sometimes excuses come up. Oh man, family, this, that. Oh no, I'm still in chapter 1, right? So here, if they go to the class, you know it's all going to be knocked out. Now, during the class, make sure you guys are checking in with your recruits. How are you feeling? How are you doing? Sometimes people do feel a little overwhelmed, so you want to check in with them, talk them through the process, since we can't like go there and meet with them. Previously, we used to meet with them, bring them lunch, breakfast, things like that when it was local. But now you just want to check in with them, make sure things are making sense. And if they have questions, see if you can answer that along the way. And then also just check in to make sure that they're actually in class. That's critical. Sometimes people say, yeah, I'm in class. And then you check POL and it's like they didn't complete class. So you always want to check in there. And then after class, how many chapters did they get through on the first day? Because then you can help them and say, okay, hey, you only have 3 chapters left on Sunday. You'll knock it out. Make sure they take the simulator as soon as they finish class, guys. As soon as they finish class, that if they can that night, that Sunday night, or the next day, worst case scenario. But you don't want too much time to go by before they take that simulator, because all the information that they just got from the class is going to start to disseminate and go away. So you want to make sure they do that right away so they can complete their pre-licensing and get that credit. And then fill out all licensing paperwork, check the steps, get everything in order quickly. Different states have different requirements, and sometimes the background check, the fingerprinting, all that stuff takes a long time to complete. And make sure you are familiarized with the steps, because some states don't let you start the paperwork until they've passed the exam. Some states, they'll allow you to start the paperwork prior to the exam, get all that taken care of, and then as soon as they pass, they just have to send in their pass notice, X, Y, and Z. So that's there. And then you definitely want to schedule the exam right away. So as far as scheduling the exam, if they go to class, another benefit of them going to class, the instructor is going to encourage them ASAP to schedule it. If not in class, they're going to say, okay, hey guys, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to get your exam scheduled. It could be either on day 1 or day 2 after they pass their practice exam from class. So that's huge. You want to make sure that they're taking their exam within the next 5 to 7 days. If it goes by too far, again, they may start forgetting the information. So you want to make sure that they are scheduling their exam as soon as possible. Be familiar with the different testing providers. So Pearson VUE, Prometric, PSI, all different states, since we're not just in one place now, all different states have different testing providers. There's remote versus in person. Some states only still offer in person. A lot of states now are transitioning to remote. So know the differences there, guys. If you do remote, you have to make sure that they complete the system check. So with that, they're going to check. It's going to be basically a program that's going to check their device. And most of the times it has to be a computer or laptop, because they're going to check download speeds, if the webcam works, if the audio works, all of that. And if it doesn't pass, they're not going to be able to take their exam remotely, and they're going to have to take it in person. So you want to make sure that they have done that and made sure that the device is going to be approved and can work before, and not wait till last minute to get that done. You want to put all your exam dates on your calendar so you can check in with them. You can make sure that they're ready to go. I do that as well, just to know like rescheduling times. Sometimes they give you, like for remote, I think you have 24 to 48 hours where you can still reschedule. If it's in person, it has to be 48 hours for most states. So make sure you know that stuff and check in with your recruits if something comes up, or if they if they haven't passed the simulator yet, then you may want to touch base there. And then here, last thing is Telegram. You want to make sure that you're using Telegram in a positive way with your recruits. So we have a thread that we have our recruits on if they're working towards their field training bonus. We also post information on the 12-week course. And then we really try to incentivize things towards licensing. So we have a licensing lottery. We listened to somebody do a training about this, and we've picked it up and ran with it ever since. And so it really encourages team members to post their updates about licensing. And then you give them like lottery tickets based on what they do. So for example, for us, let me pull it up here. If our teammates complete a chapter, they get half a ticket, so half a point. If they register for class, they get 2 tickets. If they complete a simulator or guarantee exam, they get 3 tickets. And if they schedule their exam, they get 5 tickets. So what we tell them is, hey, you got to be on Saturday training and our team meeting that week. And then we do a lottery for that past 7 days. So whoever's posted through that week, we have this little lottery app, and Mike adds up all the points that everybody has gotten. And then it does a random lottery, and that person wins $20. So it's another way for them to be incentivized to study, but then it's another way for us to kind of see where people are at as far as their studies without having to be checking and asking too often. So I think that that's huge. It's been very helpful for us as far as the licensing. Now, you also want to make sure you have somebody on your team that is available to help with questions on the study materials and also give some test taking strategies. I took my exam forever ago, and I don't remember things like that till now. Sometimes I can answer questions, but we have Mike, who is awesome. He was an instructor in the Air Force, and so he's really good at teaching people and helping them get on track and figuring out their kind of learning strategies. So I don't know, he like just keeps this information locked in his head for however long. It's awesome. And so if we have people that are maybe need a little additional help, we'll just set up like an hour work session with Mike, and they'll go through questions, maybe some strategies, see how he finds out how they learn, and then helps them kind of get on track. And so I think that's been very beneficial as well. And then when they pass, you want to make sure you're posting their picture and pass notice on the thread so people can congratulate them. I know Shaq does that for the entire hierarchy, but definitely do that for your teams as well. And then also create incentives and groups only for licensed agents. So we have like a self-improvement club, but you have to be licensed to be on it. We have different incentives. If you're not licensed, then you can't participate. So with that, it kind of creates this environment where, hey, you're not really going to get all of the goodies until you get licensed. So I think that's huge. So last thing, guys, is resources. Make sure that you know the resources that are available to your recruits. There's licensing audios available on POL. So I have them all, I downloaded them all and then sent them out in our licensing Telegram thread that we have. Make sure your recruits know the difference between you can pass and pass now. Pass now, there's a simulator exam on POL that they can take without having to complete all of the chapters on You Can Pass. So like if they go to class and they just go through pre-licensing and they haven't finished all their chapters, but they want to take a simulator, they can go to Pass Now on POL and be able to take that simulator and maybe pass it, get their green light, whatever the case may be, and be able to schedule if they need to. But on You Can Pass will not let you get to the simulator without completing all of the chapters. So make sure you guys know that. For your teammates, You Can Pass, again, they have the quizzes, flashcards, the simulator. There's also a focused exam. So all of the areas that they weren't doing so well on, maybe it'll just focus on those areas for them so that they can prep before they take the simulator again. And for your as a trainer, since I know we're going to have a lot more trainers coming up through the hierarchy, is that on Recruit Manager, you can check if your recruit is studying. I don't know, Gabe, if you can add in a little bit here, but I can't see, I have never been able to see progress as far as You Can Pass or Pass Now for New York on Recruit Tracker, but every other state, it does show it. So I don't know if you have anything or any ways where you're able to see that.
Yeah, with Recruit Tracker, Tanya does all that stuff, the licensing. She also offers classes. She is my Michael. And because I don't know none of this. I failed the exam right now if I take it.
Me too.
But yeah, she does a lot of that, and she does track it. She knows exactly how much they've studied, how are they, what are they getting on their simulations and all of it. And we use examfx.com for New York. It's
right.
I guess resource.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I know that it's ExamFX. It just for some reason doesn't link up to Recruit Manager. So I'll find out from her and then we'll get that information out to you guys. But it's awesome. Recruit Manager, it'll tell you how many hours they've studied, when was the last time they logged in, if they've taken a simulator exam, the guarantee exam, what percentage of the chapters they've completed. So it's all there. So yes, you check in with your recruit, but you already know where they're at. It's also a good way to have accountability and know if they're doing what they're actually saying as well. So that, I think, is all I have as far as licensing goes. So let me check the chat and see if there's any questions. Oh, yeah. So if you're remote, yes, they will check everything in your room all around to just make sure things are good. But yeah, any questions about licensing, guys? It's pretty straightforward, but you just got to be on it. Cool. All right. Well, if anything comes to mind, you can post it in the chat. We'll transition now. Gabe is going to talk to you guys about how to read life insurance policies, which is critical in